Hi everyone, this is Kelly and I am here to take a look at a little, I didn't know it was this little and it has just made me so happy. I didn't really pay attention. I saw the images, they were really gorgeous. This is a deck that I backed on Kickstarter and it just came in and I didn't really know what the size was, or I hadn't paid attention, and they are, and it said it on the Kickstarter. I just wasn't paying attention to it, and it is awesome size. I would say it would be similar to a bridge size. I don't have something bridge right by me, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, I would say they're bridge size, maybe slightly smaller than a bridge size card. They're awesome, and I just didn't realize it. So when I pulled it out of the package, I was like, oh my goodness, I love this, and I love the box. So, I'm a little excited and a little excitable about little things because I love small things. So the deck that is, again, a deck that I backed on Kickstarter, and it's called the Witch's Familiar's Runic Oracle. And it just says a White Witch Oracle deck. This was a Kickstarter, but I did take a look on her website, which I'll put a link to below, and it does look like they are available for purchase. I just got mine in. I'm assuming they're, getting the Kickstarter things off, and then, we'll go into shipping new orders is my assumption. So this is something that you can get. It is based in the UK. And so this is a rune deck. It is an Elder Futhark deck. This little card came with it. Really gorgeous. It has obviously Elder Futhark, the Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle, and then it has each one of the 24 Elder Futhark runes with their name as well as some keywords. Now there also is a really beautiful PDF guidebook. I will read one of the entries from that just so that you can see what you get. I usually keep this hand in hand when I'm looking at rune stuff because I have sort of the runic poem line on there and kind of get a feel for how I feel like that connects. From a quick look through everything, I liked the animal choices that were here. Now I have gone through in the process of working with runes, associating animals to each one, associating crystals, associating plants, things like that, just as a practice of really getting to know and leaning into the energy of the runes. But I didn't, so I might have picked other animals, but I didn't find anything that stood out to me. Again, I haven't gone through it closely. We'll find out as we go through right now, but I thought they all made sense in looking at them. And so this is a rune deck that is really leaning into the energy of an animal, right? So a familiar would be an animal companion, or more than an animal, but an animal spirit companion, sometimes in the physical form of an animal, sometimes in a spirit form of an animal, or an energy of an animal that might go with each one of these runes. And then it also came with this image of this cat, which is one of the runes. I can't remember which because it just came in today. But these are really beautiful. I was going to edge it in black, but then when I got it home, I realized this is really like a dark forest green. So I need to take this tomorrow and try to find a good edging color because the one that I have doesn't seem to be quite right. So I'm not going to do that tonight at the end of the walkthrough. So it comes in like almost like one of the nice little jewelry boxes. You know how you get like a cardboard box, but it's nice. It's very sturdy. It has a Kickstarter edition 2020. It is 96 out of, looks like 1,101. 1111, 11111. That's kind of cool if that's how many she made. So it has like a stamp with the number that's there. It's got gorgeous embossing on it. It's really sweet. I really like this box. I think it was a great idea. It's nice and sturdy for the small. So it's hard to get boxes that, you know, work well for little decks like this, and, you know, outside of like a tuck box, or then you're having a much bigger box. It's only 24 cards, so it's not going to be very thick. So I think this was a great idea, and it's beautiful. I love the greenery that's here and sort of the sprinkle of magic. It's really pretty. I quite love it. So kudos on her for that option. I think it works great. So then you of course have the cards in the deck. Move that out of the way. The backs are, look at the backs, like they're gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. The cards are thick, and they're a satin smooth, like they really feel nice. This is not a plain card stock. My guess is A, there's not that many of them. B, it's thicker kind of cards, more like a cardboard feel because it's small. So whenever you take cardstock that may be really gorgeous to shuffle as a tarot or oracle size, and you shrink it down, thicker cardstock gets to be difficult to shuffle, the smaller that it gets. My guess is this isn't going to riffle shuffle very well, which is not generally people's concerns other than myself, but it's probably going to overhand shuffle really beautiful. And plus it's just nice for setting out, like if you're going to set this out on an altar space, or you're going to be doing intentional work and sort of setting it out. It's a really nice thick cardstock, but we'll see. I'm not going to try to shuffle it right now, obviously. But again, the backings are absolutely stunning. All of the cards have this sort of dark green, it's not a border, but it's got a dark color around it, and then this burst of light in the middle in which the image of the animal takes place. We have the rune at the top, the symbol for or the actual letter, and then we have the name of the rune at the bottom. So really beautiful. I mean, I can't, there's nothing that I would change about that. It's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in here, and then I'm going to read what we have in the PDF guidebook, just so you have a feeling for what you get in the guidebook, before we kind of start to flip through. So here we have Fehu, and Fehu translates as wealth or cattle, and it is that idea of wealth, you know, kind of movable wealth, so to speak. So keywords that she has here on this little sheet are wealth, luck, abundance, energy, and fertility. And then in the guidebook it says, let's go here, Fehu squirrel. The hard-working and energetic red squirrel holds aloft her golden acorn, a lucky discovery after successful forage. It takes effort, but she is richly rewarded and her family are well fed. Red squirrel needs to be careful about hoarding all her nuts in one place. Her treasures are safer when spread around a little. Fehu is a high energy rune. It brings with it luck and fortune. As the first rune of the first ite, it speaks of beginnings. This is a rune that refers to movable property like money or possessions. In a reading, it speaks of prosperity, and particularly through your own efforts. Financial security, successful business, property, assets, negotiation, the reduction of financial problems, unexpected good fortune, a sign of hope and plenty, success and happiness, including social success. In reverse, it is an indication that a price must be paid, either for changed circumstances or happiness. It possibly indicates some sort of failure. The key is wealth, luck, abundance, energy, and fertility, which is what we saw here. And for magical workings, this is a good rune for attracting abundance. It gives energy to spells. So yeah. that's what we have here. Now, it's interesting, right, that we have a squirrel when obviously we associate Fehu with cattle, or I should say, if you work with runes, you often associate Fehu with cattle, and then the next rune, which is Uruz, with the wild oxen. So you have this domesticated versus wild cattle energy that are kind of play off each other. So obviously a very easy thing here would have been a cow or something like that. But I do think this works. We have the squirrel who is there gathering that movable property and those resources, and we have the nuts really being what Fehu is represented by. So we have the familiar here of the squirrel, but what is actually being represented is the nuts and the hard work that goes to attaining those and gathering those and sometimes losing those that can happen. So I actually do like that she didn't just go with the easy thing, which would have just been to put cattle. That would have been more literal, yes, but I do like I like this, and I think it works. Again, this is the witch's familiar, and so it doesn't have to be an exact representation of the word, because obviously not all of these words by far have actually to do with an animal, and so I think that, you know, going her own way with that makes sense, and this works well, and it's adorable. So that just gave you, I wanted just to have an idea of what the what you would get in the physical, or sorry, in the PDF guidebook as well. Again, look at these. I know I've shown them to you twice, but now that we're zoomed in, these backs are absolutely stunning. We've got the runes going around the moon. We have the reverse. So on the back, obviously, we have the dark green with the burst of light, and on the front, and on the back we have the light green with the burst of the dark. And so it's really beautiful, and the color saturation and everything is gorgeous in person. I really love it. The next thing that we have, I don't know what's along there are, like, you know, some plants down here at the bottom. We have some plants as well as crystals here, and we have rose. So it's interesting. I don't know, it doesn't mention a specific plant, but it looks like there may actually be some plant energy there as well as animal energy, but we'll see if that carries through the rest of it, but it's not mentioned in the guidebook. Uruz, of course, we do have a wild ox here. It would have been a little, I have to say, because even the image of Uruz is obviously meant to be those horns. It would have been strange to not have this be an ox. It's, you know, while the rune poem for Fehu is wealth that provides comfort to people who share it, to those who share it, Uruz, the actual rune poem, is a wild ox, is a fierce fighter with high horns. So I just feel like that was a good call on her part, at least for me. Also, you can see that there are various moons in the background. Obviously, these are crescent moons here, waning and waxing. So that's going on in the background as well. We'll see how those play out also. So again, yes, this makes sense. For keywords, she has strength, power, health, endurance, manifestation. For me, this is a challenge rune, right? If you stumble into a field and you come face to face with a wild ox, there is this moment of challenge, and you know, how are you going to meet that challenge becomes a real question. Are you going to meet it with strength? Are you going to endure perhaps a long run for the hills with it? So yeah, so we have that there. I love to see that a wolf showed up. I was kind of surprised. I would have thought maybe it would have been in tiwas, but that wasn't really a wolf. That would have been a dog. So we'll see what's in tiwas, but I do love that there's a wolf here. So now she has for she has for Thurisaz, not for tiwas. I'm getting myself confused. For Thurisaz, she has protection, passion, male potency, defense, and conflict. So those are some of those keywords are interesting for me. This is the rune of thorns. It does have to do with thorns. It can be the sort of the misfortune. The keywords are, or the phrase is about thorns being wickedly sharp. This is sometimes associated with Thor. You know, it's interesting when you read I've read a lot of different rune books, and a lot of times the idea of protection comes up in so many different runes. For me, awas would definitely be my protection rune that I would see as being protection versus Thurisaz. But what I like here is that we don't have anything that's, you know, it doesn't say that on the rune itself, which I think is so important in this type of a deck, because people do tend to have very strong ideas of what these particular runes might mean to them. So maybe putting what the rune actually name means would be okay, but you know, then how do you address putting in a keyword that could be questionable for some people? But anyways, we have a rose here, we have the prickly thorns, we think about a wolf in the sharp teeth. The flame is a little bit iffy just because we have Kenz or Kauna, and that is a fire kind of thing, and so having fire in something else. But you know, it's, I think, obvious. We have the pointy thorn feeling over here, we have the name of it, so this is, I think, works well. And I do again like the sharp teeth of the wolf. We have the bramble of rose thorns down below, so I think that it works. Yeah, they're very thick cards. We have Anzus next, which is mouth. This also has to do with Odin. The mouth is the source of the word, is the rune poem. I love that we have either Hunin or Munin here. But we have the raven, Odin's ravens, which I think is perfection. We have an eye here, and it looks like maybe a rune bone or something there. I can't tell. I'd have to take a picture and zoom in on it. We have communication, insight, order, divine inspiration, and true vision for Anzus. I think it's gorgeous. I love the sort of crystal focus, almost a gem inlaid in his chest as well, so that's gorgeous. For Rydo, which is the rune of movement or riding, we have a whale here. The keywords are natural rhythms, journey, action, movement, and taking the right path. You know, this definitely could have gone in, say, maybe even awas with, you know, the riding across the waves kind of movement thing. A whale could have gone there. But I like this because we probably, I'm guessing, have horse, or we should have horse in awas. And so you wouldn't have had, again, a horse here. So we have this powerful movement of the whale. I guess you know, for me, Rydo is very much about movement, but it's also about the idea of, it's really easy to talk about what you're going to do and where you're going to go, but it's a lot harder to get out there and do it. I don't think that the whale is going to have any difficulty, but these are supposed to be energies that are aiding us, and boy, if we could get a hold of you know, get on the back of a whale, we're going to be able to go super, super easy, so love it. Then I do really like this. So for Kenz or Kauna, or you know, there's other ways of saying a lot of these runes. This is the idea of the torch, but it can burn or it can illuminate, right? So the idea is with the rune poems, you'll see the torch that can bring illumination, or it can give you boils and blisters. It can burn you. And so what I love is that we have this book here, right? Which is knowledge and illumination. And then we have, but this torch could catch that book on fire. It's a little dangerous to be dangling a torch. Now, I think the torch here was probably for illumination, but for me, I can look at that as both. We can gain illumination and knowledge from this with the book, or we could actually burn the whole library down and be in a lot of trouble. So that works really well for me. The next one that we have is Gabo, which is a gift. And here we have the beautiful swan, which is gorgeous. The gifts returned to adorn the giver with honor would be the rune poem. Here we have gifts, partnership, sacrifice, fair exchange, and honor here. But I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And it makes me think of the Swan Princess, and it makes me think of the Ugly Duckling, and how you react and how you act. It says something more about yourself than it says, so that it's more important. The honor that you give with the gifting is more important than the, you know, beauty type thing. I don't know. It works for me. It's beautiful. Wunyo is for joy, and I really love this with the hummingbird, which is beautiful and joyful, and it is I have been spending a lot of time watching ruby-throated hummingbirds, and a whole bunch of them. My sister, even, she filmed an amazing, there were literally like 20 or so hummingbirds. She had 2 feeders out, swarming all along. Everybody was getting food. There was just this sense of getting filled up on abundance, and everybody coming together. It was crazy. Now, the one I was watching, there were a couple pairs and maybe some younglings, but the main male was a ruby, and he was not very joyous. He was very bossy, the whole time, just like really chirping and bossy, and was running, chasing off. And we put up a second feeder, thinking then that he would be okay, but then no, now he's just in control of both the feeders. So he is feeling joy in his bossiness. I'm not sure that everybody else around him is feeling joy, but anyways, I digress. Wunyo. Next, we have Hagalas. I think this is great with a scorpion, right? Because this is to do with hail. It is that sharp, you just think about hail coming. I don't know if you've ever been caught in a hailstorm. I definitely had. And then that stinging blow of it on your skin can be really painful, depending on how big they get. And it's less stinging and more slamming into you. But I think that works quite well for an animal energy for Hagalas. Next we have naudis, and this is an interesting one. I'm guessing that this is what is this? Badger is what I'm guessing. Let me pull it up here. Owl, swan, the scorpion for Hagala, honey badger. Is there anything more tough, tenacious, robust, and resilient than the honey badger? No matter what life throws at her, she uses it to learn and grow and become even stronger. Whether she's battling a deadly snake or finding a way for her family to survive an arid environment, she casts aside frivolous wants and focuses on essential needs. Naudis tells you something you probably already know. Life can be hard, but it is often through your suffering, your labor, that you truly learn the powerful stuff that you are made of, which is so true. So I actually think that this works really well for naudis. I also think this is the first time we've seen that kind of dark moon behind. I don't think the humpback didn't get a moon. Well, we just can't see it because it's under the ocean. So anyway, I've spent a lot of time with naudis as a rune of the year all of last year, and it shows up a lot for me. Next we have Issa for ice. And here we have the bat. So this is interesting because ice, you know, it comes with that idea of the rune poem is about ice being cold and slippery, but it's really beautiful as well. But there is that idea of stasis that can come, and so having a bat that is all folded up for the night, I think works really beautiful here, beautifully here. Stillness, self-control, focus, stability, and stasis. She has for keywords. So I think that that's really gorgeous. For, whoops, for Yara, we have the honeybee. Well, it looks like a honeybee. I mean, a bumblebee maybe? I guess it doesn't matter. Honeybee, yeah. Again, they are so attuned to the cycles and the seasons and the harvesting of the honey. And I mean, I think that that works absolutely beautiful. We have the harvesting of the pollen, which is then going to lead to the harvest of the honey. And it just, I think it works really beautiful for Yara. So here we have awas, and that is obviously the image that we have here with the cat. Magic, liberation, rebirth, awakening, protection is the keywords that she has. This is associated with you. There is that deeply rooted, that flame that's coming from within. It's a transition kind of energy. I think cat energy here works really powerful. Pertho, it's interesting that we have a snake here. The Runic poem is talking about play and laughter for those who are getting together, because it's being sort of associated with a gaming piece. But it is definitely something that has been associated with the fates. And so with that sort of casting lots and throwing our fates into the wind, and so then of course would be associated with the Norns, and it does have that idea of divination and intuition put together. So I can see where like a two-headed snake would be put there versus that gaming aspect of play and sort of coming together energy that I do like to see with Pertho, even though I understand these associations, but in sort of the abundance of, but we do have the community of Wunyo with bliss, so you know, it's not necessary that we have to have that there, but it's, you know, it's so interesting to see how these develop and which way do you tend to go with it. Is this a gaming cup that people played and cast their lots? It's probably both, right? It's that understanding of tossing the dice and seeing where things lie. And in a society who is thinking a lot about fate and those types of energies, you know, they can have multi-meanings there, and at the surface be one thing and then have that deeper layer beneath as well. It looks like, I thought maybe that was a chess piece down there, but it's actually a key. I just kind of put it on my phone so I can, my eyesight's not great, and it's a little card, so if I can't see something, I'll often take a picture of it so that I'm able to zoom in on it. Anyway, so there we have Pertho. I love the stag with algaes. Algaes is elks, or the elk, or the stag. It stands for elk sedge. It's definitely a protection energy, and having that powerful stag energy or elk energy, or just that standing there, I think works really beautiful. And I like that we have the plants growing at the bottom as well. I love this image just in general. It would be a kingfisher, I suppose, for Sowilo. And keyword success, sensuality, wholeness, life force, victory. This is about the sun guiding people forward to land. I do like that it is a water, land, air kind of creature here with the kingfisher. But it is just a bright and beautiful energy there. I'll be interested to read through her animal energy. I haven't really worked a lot with kingfisher. So for tiwas, we have, which is a warrior energy, and it is about that idea, for me, it's an idea of kind of willing sacrifice energy of warriors. So it's the positive energy of the warrior. And so I think this image really reflects that. We've got the sword here, we've got the eagle swooping in, and so it does have a very powerful warrior vibe to that. So that works beautifully. Next we have Berkana, and this is the thing of beginnings. It goes with birch trees and freshness. This looks like springtime with the hair. I think it's really beautiful, and I think that works really well. Next we have awas, which should be horse and is horse. It means horse, so it would be strange for that to not be the animal. Although we did have the cattle in it, but that actually is like fee with wealth. So we already talked about the acorns. I won't go back there, but that is of course perfect the way it should be. Manas we have with the little meerkats. I'm assuming that's what those are, some type of like little meerkats. That idea of humanity, community here, people at their best taking care of each other, setting up watch, all the communities that are going on here. So that makes sense. I love seahorses. I have always adored seahorses. I've been fascinated with them my whole life. So having one show up makes me really happy. This is for lagus, which means water. And that idea of flow and you know, because I also like, you know, some of lagus is, it can be difficult when you're, you know, when the waves just keep coming and you feel a little bit overwhelmed by it, and you see these images sometimes of these big wave patterns, and then the seahorses are just, you know, got their tails wrapped around something and holding on for dear life. So I do like that connotation there, so I think that works really well. For ingwas or ing, we have this idea of the god. This is a strong fertility god sense, and I think a lion goes really well. Let's see what she has here. Creation, wholeness, energetic burst, harmony, evolution. Yeah, I mean, I think it works really well with the lion here. I love, I think I changed these around because some people put dagas and then othala. I like it to be othala and then dagas, so I think I switched this when I was kind of flipping through. This is one of the reasons that I wanted this deck. I love hermit crabs. My son had huge, huge cage, like it was a 50-gallon tank full of hermit crabs, living the best life you could possibly live, at least in captivity. They were spoiled beyond measure, and so I love this for having your home, you know, with you, right? Your home is always with you, and I think that's beautiful. And then dagas for day, which means day, but it's also about hope. And gaining something, and we have this beautiful transformative energy of a butterfly, which is gorgeous, and that hope of this new day dawning and this new life coming out of the cocoon, which I think works really beautiful. So yeah, I think these worked really well. I think she did a beautiful job at it. Again, I think that, you know, 20 people could make their favorite, you know, their decks with animals related to the rune. Yeah, these are very thick. I'm not going to riffle these. I riffle shuffle another small deck with thick cardstock, which is my 1889 Lenormand, and I have bent a few of those cards. I have a backup copy of the deck that I am not touching, but you know, it's thick cardstock is wonderful for things, but the smaller that it becomes, the less flexible that it becomes. So there's not going to be any there's not going to be any it's too late to be doing this. I just wanted to be able to shuffle the cards, so that's why I'm doing this late at night. I don't even remember what I was going to say. No, regardless, no riffle shuffling for me on this one because I don't want to bend these beautiful cards. So So I don't use rune cards a lot. I have a beautiful set, again, a very, very thick cardstock of runes that before then I was like, I don't even want a rune deck. I have no need for it. Runes for me are about casting, and I still, even though I now have two, I have some also like learning decks, but in terms of actual deck usages, it's just not a system to me that is for cards. It's about casting. However, that deck has really taught me that in just pulling 3 runes, I do actually enjoy having a deck. And I do work with runes as setting intentions and leaning into when I need a specific energy, having that image out. And I will say that having like a small one of my runes that could be this big kind of sitting out doesn't kind of give the umph to it or kind of pull that energy out always. And so being able to, you know, find ink wise and just keep it out in where I'm setting intentions or something like that, I do like having a card for that. And I do sometimes just want to pull 3 runes, and I will use it that way. I am still primarily going to pull runes or cast them. It's just I've been doing it for longer than I've had any kind of cards at all, and before I even ever had a tarot deck or an oracle deck. So I don't think that's ever going to change, that for me runes are always going to be primarily about casting. But I have found the benefit to runes, and so I couldn't resist this one because I just thought the artwork was so beautiful. I love this combination here because we have the turning of the seasons, and things are going to change. Like things might be difficult right now, but with the changing of the seasons come joy in the midst of hardship, right? I mean, come on. That just speaks of 2020. We're all waiting for that turn of the cycle, of that harvest to come. Fall is coming and the harvest coming in. And let's harvest some joy out of all of this difficulty that we've had so far. Makes a lot of sense to me. I think that is a well-spoken of the Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle. So I'm going to leave that there. I think it's gorgeous. I'm very happy that I picked it up. Again, I don't often, like sometimes I'll see rune decks and I tend to just kind of, oh, that's cool, and keep moving because I just don't use them. But because of the animal energy, which is something I work with a lot, it caught my second attention past the first, and I'm really glad I did. I love the size. The artwork is stunning. I think she did a great job with the animals, and then nothing in here really locks anybody into any specific meaning either. So that's, to me, that's a real mark of something that's really usable, and so I'm very excited to have picked it up. So I hope you like this little peek at this. I will put the link below. Again, I know the Kickstarter decks are going out because obviously I just got this, but it does look like you can order these, so I'll still stick the link down below. Thanks for watching.